All right, that brings us to our next segment, our response to the comment section. Dun,
Yes,
dun,
yes, 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 yes.
dun.
All right, so our first comment here is going to be coming from the digital streets called TikTok. A digital street, I should say, called TikTok. This topic was when we were discussing group economics, and I said the headline for this video is "This One Mistake is Costing Black Americans Billions." And this is when we were talking about, again, how we spend money outside of our community.
Mhm.
And that's one of the reasons why our billions don't stay within our communities,
Right,
even
right.
though we have trillions to spend, but it's being spent outside. And so we have user 3018 and a whole bunch of numbers say this is where the black church needs to step up. All the
Ooh.
money the church takes in, why are they not investing in businesses that provide these services? So again, because like I said, we were talking about when we go do grocery shopping, education, any professional service, all more often than not, clothing, and then basic essentials, clothing, even our housing,
Mhm.
transportation, fuel, like all those basic essentials, food. We don't have our own grocery stores, we don't
Right,
have our own, hospitals and
right.
schools and infrastructure in that regards. So we don't have the infrastructure to keep the billions in the community. But as user 3018 says, the church historically, in our community has been that platform for concepts like group economics to occur. So to your point, like yes, the church would be, in my opinion, a great place for this to have, since it's one of the primary points of organization for our community on a week-to-week basis.
But that's not their mission, though.
It isn't
Their mission,
specifically,
yeah,
but there are plenty of, Jesus turned over the table in the marketplace because they was selling stuff in their temple, and we do talk about tithing, we do talk about all those things, but it's like what's happening with that tithe money, because we know a lot of these churches do invest, for example, in real estate.
yeah, but they invest, but it's in the name of
The
said
church,
church or the
not
said
not not
pastor
not
or whatever the
not the
case may be,
parishioners.
not the people.
Yeah.
And so that's why I was saying, to answer user 310-456-7329,
Mhm.
to answer him, like, why isn't the church at the helm of this movement? Because that's not their motivation.
Yeah,
Their
they got
and
their own agenda.
their agenda is self-aggrandizement and continuing to expand their own territory, so to speak.
Facts.
There's a song called "Expand My Territory," so no pun intended. They just want to, expand. Get their next Bentley or whatever the case may be, or make sure they designer down from head to toe, and make sure that they kids, if they have any, are in the best and latest fashions, and make sure everything. They just worried about them because what was the number that we said that churches make?
The stat I saw was they collect about 30
30 million a
million.
day.
It was like 30 million a day because it was going off of how much Americans of African descent spend on a day-to-day basis, and it was like
Hmm.
roughly, I think it was somewhere about 20 million. But then they were saying like the based on the amount of ties, you split that by seven, it was like 30 million. I'm gonna find that clip
Yeah, cause
and
the
I'll show
cause,
it to
yeah,
you.
cause the point that they were making, or the video I seen, they were saying that it was, a church guy, Jamal Bryant. Maybe we could segue this into him, because he was saying that Target makes $15 million a day off African Americans. Where else is that type of money being generated into a business? And then the fact was, the black church.
Mhm.
The black church is getting about $30 million a day. So where's the pressure on them to give back to community, said community, and build into our infrastructure, our banking system, our hospitals, grocery stores,
Mhm.
etc.
Mhm.
And so that's why I said what I said prior to that. Like, that's not their motivation. That ain't that's they ain't interested in that, because
Right.
they've been getting this money. People been paying tithes. I know old people that's about 90 years old been paying tithes since they was in their 20s.
Mhm.
So they've been getting this paper for a long time, and
Mhm.
they've been galvanizing the people to gather on every Wednesday and every Sunday and every Easter and Christmas. And we don't need another nativity scene play. We don't need another a Santa Claus presentation or the Easter Bunny egg hunt. We don't need another, all the church anniversary, the pastor's first ladies day, the
Right, right,
the
right.
youth concert, the building fund. We don't like. We need to really, um, the church really needs to take its rightful place because, like you said prior, the church was initially at the helm of
Yeah, it was the main platform.
the was the main platform. I remember when I went to where Martin Luther King's church is at, and the guy that was giving us the backstory was like that they would come there for their instructions. They
Hmm.
would come there to meet
Yeah.
to like the civil rights movement people, like
Hmm.
the Martin Luther Kings and the uh,
It was like the
um,
HQ in every
it was
community
the headquarters for every community for you to get your information about
from the
what's going on
church.
in the civil rights,
Yeah.
what you need to do, where you can go to get help, finances, whatever the case may be. Like that aspect of the church has really disappeared and is like non-existent. And I think, if the church gets its rightful place, you know, um, it could be a great asset to our communities.
Hmm.
And like I was saying, we don't need another Thanksgiving turkey. We don't need another turkey dressing, mac and cheese, candy yams, and collard green plate. You know what I mean? And then Christmas, we don't need a toy drive with a bunch of toys that you wouldn't even buy for real. For real, they get all the cheapest toys that you could find for toy drives. Nobody really go out and get decent toys.
Hmm.
The most decent thing that kids get at a toy drive is a 10 speed bike. You know what I'm saying? Everything else, all those other toys are like toys you done got from the dollar store, Dollar General. You know, you just grab them two for $1, then you throw
Right.
them down there, and these people supposed to be grateful. Like,
I had an idea.
what's that?
So we've already established that these institutions that are collecting tithes, and we have established that these institutions also invest in things like real estate. For example, they might buy up a couple of properties around their church location, houses for the most part, buildings in some cases. So they are already executing, the whole real estate investing strategy. So what if they took a portion of the tithes that they collected and used that as, quote unquote capital to invest, but that way they tie the congregation into the returns. So that way, again, at least a
So
part of,
you do know at that point you have your hand in the preacher's pocket
of course.
because the
I mean,
tithe
well, he
because the tithe usually
90,
goes
90,
to
90%, you know what I mean? Like he
because
can't.
because the way it's set up, the tithe. A lot of people don't know this. A lot of the way it's set up in a lot of churches, the tithe is the preacher and all his resources. Money come out of that. That's why
Hmm.
they have tithes
Of course.
and offering,
Yeah.
and that's why they always need
That's
a
why it's
building
two. It's two.
tithes and offering, two different offerings,
Yeah.
and that's why they always have a building fund or they need money because the tithe is usually the greater offering because it's a 10% of your said salary or whatever
Hmm.
the case may be.
Hmm.
The offering is what they try to do everything else with.
Exactly.
You usually just you pay your
That's why
tithe,
they selling the sweet potato plate. You know what I'm saying?
right? Fish dinners and chicken dinners.
Right, right, right.
That's exactly why. You throw maybe $1 or two in the offering. You pay your $300, $400 tithe. Like here you go, boom, boom, boom. And then for your offering, you put $5 in the offering.
Hmm.
But the offering is what's
And don't
running.
let it be a pastor there that day. Then we're gonna have to do another offering for the
Oh, a guest
pastor.
part. Yeah,
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 yeah.
definitely.
Exactly.
Because
That's what I'm saying.
that's exactly what. Because our church,
So it's a lot of money changing
because
hands.
our tithes and offering when you come is for us. Like that tithes is for the preacher, and
Hmm.
the offering is for our church and our dynamics and overhead.
Hmm.
Now here you come. Now we got to pay you. What they'll do, sometimes they'll tell the preacher to take up another offering.
Hmm.
That sometimes that's the responsibility of the guest preacher to take up their offering.
Mm.
So they'll
I didn't
do.
know that.
Oh yeah, they have. I know all about it. So they have all types of antics as it surrounds that. They'll do. If 20 people here give $13 and
Mm.
there's 50 people here that can give $26. There's always these
Something like right,
weird
right, 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 right,
numbers.
right, right.
Then I remember at one point when I was coming, they used to do stuff like this, and I'm gonna tell you why they do it. We're going off on tangent, but hey, we're here. Might be a whole nother episode. We could just be another episode. But I remember back in the day when I was coming up, they used to do shit like this. If you had $50, stand on against the wall on this aisle. If you have $100 stand on this aisle on against the wall.
Yeah.
And if you got $500, you get to come on down the center, come down,
Yeah.
and they use people's vanity
Mm-hmm.
against them because
Mm-hmm.
everybody wants to be seen.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody, I don't know what it is about church folks. They just want to be seen. Well, I guess because they have a nice outfit on. I guess the woman has some nice heels, some nice shoes. The men have nice suits. Old ladies got nice
Facts.
hats or whatever.
Facts.
And they just want to be seen, and they're a sucker for that every time. And I used to just watch and
Hook, line,
see
and sinker, bro.
hook, line, and sinker.
I've been in churches growing up my whole life as well, and I saw the same thing. And don't let it be a revival, because now you got people from all different churches,
Oh yeah,
showing out. You know what I
oh
mean?
yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, then they say if you believe in that word, if you believe that word was for you, we need you to put a $20 blessing on it right now. Come down here to the front. Come there. They go. Come down. Go. Come on. Show off. Show everybody you got $20.
Mm-hmm.
Come down and lay $20 on the offering. Put $20 on that word so God can bless you like God needs your money. Like God is sitting here like you negotiating how much you got. Oh, you raised 2,000. All right. I'm gonna let the blessings go. Go ahead. Go ahead. No, bro. You need five more hundred. You need five more.
All right. So next comment, we got my man Don here. He says,
Same topic.
"Yes." He says that's not the
Oh yeah,
problem.
so let me give you a solid answer to your question. One, two, three, four, five, six. That's not that's not their agenda. It will be in a perfect world that will be great, but that's not their agenda. There's a lot of selfishness and self-aggrandizement in a lot of areas of life, uh,
That's one of them.
and the church is not beyond reproach on that.
All right. So next comment is from a gentleman named Don. He says that's not the problem.
Hmm.
That's the results. We need to bank with a national black bank. The black business people can get funding to open stores, white banks controlling what gets capital. And a
Yeah.
couple of emoji straight faces. But to his point, I would definitely agree. And I know that, for example, here in Los Angeles, I think there's one United. I think that's the bank. What the bank is called?
Where is that located?
I think there's one off of Crenshaw.
Mm, okay.
But I know that that's one location that we can execute some black banking.
Hmm.
But to his point, like, yeah, we can definitely use a national black bank. So
Yeah.
more like a Bank of America for Americans of African descent, but specifically for us.
But that's where I get into, when I say our leaders and people of affluence and
Hmm.
means, we need to why they're not doing these things, and why the I almost said Kobe Bryant, sorry, why the LeBron James and the Tyler Perrys and the Oprah Winfrey's and the uh, Byron Allens and the all these mega billionaires aren't coming together to try to do something. Even if you start with just one hair,
Hmm.
and like Beyonce's and Jay Z. Don't let me forget. She got the beehive. Let that B stand for banking.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And go ahead and let's set up these institutions. But it's been said that
Well, to your point, that's not their agenda,
that's
quote
not their
unquote.
agenda. And then furthermore, with them, they've been silenced. Some people say like with them getting the success that they have made agreements and deals not to specifically be a voice for the
Oh, for certain
underdog
causes.
or undercause or certain causes or
Got you.
that's the wash off, that's the handoff. Okay, you'll
Mm,
get this success, but you damn sure can't be out there on the front line
got you.
using this influence because we're about to give you a lot of influence and a lot of you know uh, validation.
Got you.
So with that, but we gotta be willing to sacrifice something.
But yeah, we got to get into banking. Most importantly, that will definitely be the foundation of our economic base because to achieve economic inclusion, especially here in America for our community, it's going to require some sort of national banking system specifically for us.
Yeah.
It is.
or maybe all the churches that's getting $30 million a day, they could either come up with like at least one bank in the city.
Well, as you just said it out loud, and we've been talking about national banking, that might be the best way to get started. Only because again, we know that that's a source of income that's going to be coming in on a monthly basis. I mean, a weekly basis, I should say. So as opposed to that money getting deposited into Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Chase, where it is then given to developers outside the community or other investors, if it's within these national banks that are controlled and operated and with
Hmm.
services specifically for those in our community, and that, like you said, that gives us that economic include. I mean, that economic inclusion because now we have that capital base
Yeah.
because as far as the banking is concerned, so if they got $1,000, they can, I think it's what, 10 times. So if they got 1,000, but if they have 1,000 on deposit, they can lend 10,000.
Hmm.
So again, if we getting 30 million a day
Hmm.
or 200 million a week, so that's do the math. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Then like to marry both of those topics, you got the one person saying the church, and then the other one saying banking. Okay, so let's have the churches create a bank, and then if you're a member of said church
Mm-hmm.
that's part of this bank, you will come with your contribution statement or whatever they give you to say, yeah, I'm a member of Bedside Baptist Church, and I've been a member since X, Y, and Z, and I've been tithing for the past 20 years.
Right.
You should be able to take that to that bank, and that should be good enough for you to get a loan, a business loan, or whatever the case may be,
Mm-hmm.
a home loan,
Mm-hmm.
or whatever the case may be. So that's the way those two suggestions can be married together to render results to our community. How
There
about
it
that?
is.
I'm always going to bring it together, make it make sense. Try to at least. What's the next topic?
All right. Next comment. This is the video titled, or this was a clip from episode 5. It was, they say my body, my choice, but they don't tell you this. And by don't tell you this is like, when does it kick in? That's pretty much what we're asking in this clip here. And again, it's just always interesting to me seeing how people respond to the topic because I specifically always want to, in this case, we're specifically asking a question
Hmm.
and we're just trying to get some clarity, in light of the environment.
Right. Right.
So let's dive in. So user 3176 says, her body, her choice always.
Okay.
Use a condom. If you don't want to get her pregnant, otherwise, it's your choice to assume the risk of pregnancy. What's so hard to understand about that?
Well, what's so hard to understand about that is Miss 312-569-0250. Um, like you said, if you don't intend to get her pregnant, wear a condom. All right, so let's use the example of going to a club, right?
Mm-hmm.
And at the club, some clubs there's dress
Right,
codes.
they got
They
policies.
got policies and restrictions and formalities. Some places you can't get in with baseball caps and sweatpants,
They got a
and then
drink minimum.
drink minimum, all types of things.
Yeah,
Yeah, the comedy clubs like you got to get two drinks and buy an entree. Um,
exactly.
there's all type of restrictions for before they allow you into these places of business or
Mm-hmm.
these clubs. We're gonna keep the term club, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you show up to the club and you have on a baseball hat and sweatpants and you don't have on a button down shirt,
And some slacks.
you won't be able to get in.
Exactly.
You can't get in. You
Based
can't
upon the policies and rules of the club.
based on the policies of the club
Right.
because the club is my club
Mm-hmm.
and my choice,
Exactly. My
right?
club, my
My
choice.
club, my business.
Yes.
And I don't want nobody in here that does not have on a button-down shirt and some slacks.
Mm-hmm.
That's the wardrobe. That's the dress code.
Mm-hmm.
So anybody that shows up to this door that has anything that's not in line with what's needed to get in, you're not permitted in. You
Exactly.
don't get in. So that's what we're saying here. We're not dissolving the men of any responsibility. That's
Mm-hmm.
not the case. But it's unclear when a lot of the women say my body, my choice. That's just like the club owner saying my club, my club, my business. But at the same time, allowing anybody just to come in, and then once they're in, now they at the bar eating, drinking, having a good time, and you come over to the table like, how you get in here? Why you in here? Why you got a hat on? Why you
Mm-hmm.
got on sweatpants? It was like you supposed to have on. You ain't supposed to
This
be
is
in here
formal.
if you don't have on a button down shirt. So to your point,
And then what? And then what happens? They start shooting.
yeah, there's an issue. We have a confrontation.
Yeah, they start shooting the
They
club
start
up.
shooting the club. They shoot the club up,
Yeah,
right?
they shoot the club
So
up.
so the point is what we're
And then
saying.
you out of business for 9 months.
For 9 months. The club is shut down because you gotta wait for the insurance policy to kick in for the damages and all that.
You got to rebuild,
So
quote unquote.
my response to you, Miss
User three one
three
seven
four five
six.
six 5678, um, we we're not dissolving men of any responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
No, not at all. No, and because when you have these standards, because I know me and my homies when we out, and if we're going to like I have some friends, we hang out in Beverly Hills all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I know when we're hanging out in Beverly Hills, I can't have I stay with a hat on. I like hoodies and jeans and shit. But if I'm going to Beverly Hills, I know I'm going to Beverly Hills. I know I can't wear that.
Right.
I know I have
Right.
to
Right.
put
Right.
on maybe a blazer or just maybe a nice sweater or a button down shirt.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like I pulled together. Definitely no hat and no sneakers. So therefore I prepare accordingly before I approach the place that
Exactly.
I'm trying to
Exactly.
indulge and reap the benefits
Based
of,
upon the policies
based on the policies that
of
that place
the
have
location.
and the
Right.
respect they have for their place.
Mm-hmm.
So this is so that's all we're saying. If my body, my choice, hey, 100%. But when does that kick in? So it has to kick in prior to the man coming inside of you, coming inside your club. It has to be a policy at the door.
Mm-hmm.
And that says for this penis, and we're going to get real graphic now. For this penis to get up in this club,
Right.
it has to have the right dress code, i.e.,
Facts.
a condom. You need a
Facts.
condom. This penis need a condom before it can come through these doors.
Mm-hmm.
Who control those doors? The woman does.
Mm-hmm.
Those are your doors, the doors to your body. You have to control it. And then if you control it and you stand, 10 toes down on it, the people that's trying to approach and enter will
They're gonna have to
act
change it up.
accordingly.
Yeah, they're
They will
gonna have to
have to
change it
because
up.
you ain't getting no access.
Right.
I want to go into the club, have a couple drinks, hear the music, and have a good time.
Mm-hmm.
I want to, get in, rock steady with you, baby. I'm trying to,
I'm
make it
trying to
do what it do.
I'm trying to make this a recurring event. I'm trying to pull up as much as I
As
can.
much as I can, you know what I'm saying? And then, when it's time to, you know, take it off, that's a
Hey,
conversation we'll
I
have.
might even be willing to buy this place.
I might like it that much that I might want to go into a partnership with you
Mm-hmm.
to expand it,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, so to your question or to your comment, ma'am, is that it's not that men don't understand, and it's not that men are some men are irresponsible and some men don't give a fuck.
Mm-hmm.
But that's why you have to be 10 toes down at that door,
Mm-hmm.
because even though we have that club and have that policy, there are people that try to finesse.
Yes.
They stay trying to finesse.
Yes.
I don't know how many times I done been in the club and some people can't get in, but then
Mm-hmm.
they'll try to go around the corner, throw the hat in their back pocket, and then
Right.
try to
Right.
come
Right. Right.
again
Right.
and try
Right.
to get
Right.
back in.
Right. Right. Right.
People are going to try to finesse no matter what. But you just got to stand 10 toes down. You can't let one person in your club with a hat on and then tell the next two people they got to have a button down shirt.
Mm-hmm.
You can't do that. You're going to have conflict. You're going to have issues. You
Mm-hmm.
can't have people wait in line and tell them they got to have a dress code on, and then you see all these riffraff and thugs coming out to exit,
Mm-hmm.
high five and having a good time. It's like,
And thugs, as in whether they got on blazers or white tees.
right. So you just got to stand 10 toes down, and if that's your position, my body, my choice. Stand on that. This is
Mm-hmm.
your body. Ain't nobody coming up in like with my house. This is your house. Ain't nobody coming up in your house. You don't want nobody in your if you don't fuck with what though that motherfucker better not come. He ain't coming up in here.
But Pete, so to your point, to ensure that our house is protected, we'll do things like get security systems,
Yeah,
we'll get cameras.
yeah,
So it's just like that's the equivalent here. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
it's on you to have the proper security.
yeah.
Because again, it's gonna always be somebody trying to break into the club or trying to
Mhm,
finesse their way into the club or trying to
mhm.
get into the club through the back door. But again, yes, it could feel overwhelming, it could feel draining, and it is a lot to manage.
Cause I finesse every time I go in the club. because I don't stand in lines, and and I always find a way
Like you said, you always
over here,
gotta,
here.
as we always say, you always gotta pimp the money. You know what I'm saying? Somehow, some way. But
Yeah,
at the end of the day, again, it's just about womb security. At the end of the day, that's what it
yeah.
boils down to. And it's also too not necessarily that as men we don't get the long term effects of it as well, because again at the end of the day there is a kid that comes. So
Hmm.
even if a man does have a bout of temptation and he makes a reckless move and he meets some young lady and he has sex with her and it's unprotected but it results in an unexpected pregnancy, again the responsible men, they're going to step up. So
Hmm.
we don't even talk the so when we're having these conversations, we're not even talking about them.
Hmm.
You feel me?
Right.
Like, so we don't even bring them up,
Hmm.
because again those mothers and fathers in those situations, they quote unquote were adults about it,
Hmm.
and they handled their business and they did what needs to be do.
Right.
They did what needs to be done.
Right.
But the conversation is obviously coming from those who believe that they aren't getting what they want out of the situation.
Right. Because I shouldn't say this, but I'm gonna say it. Because if the insurance company find out that you let these people in, and
Mm-hmm.
you don't have the said precaution, you ain't getting able to file that
That
insurance
claim,
claim,
yeah.
and vice versa. Like you shouldn't be able to have this abortion. I know y'all gonna be mad about that, but that ain't the topic about abortions. That ain't what we talking about, But I just said that because that just popped in my head. But the point that I'm trying to make is that you have to be 10 toes down
Mm-hmm.
at the beginning, at the entrance of your body,
Mm-hmm.
not once something is already not once somebody's already in it
You
and
know
it's
what?
already feeling
Not to
good.
cut your wisdom off, but as you just made that point, I looked down. I actually saw a comment that really ties into what you just said, because
What they say? Who is
we
it?
have Lux here, and she says, "Is sex not a mutual act?" And it's like,
Right,
yes, because sex is a mutual act,
right,
ma'am. That's where your womb security comes into play.
right,
Like, that's your mutuality, I guess you
right,
can say in this case, in the act. Is
right,
like, again, you can't complain about them coming into your club and shooting it up and then running off
right,
if you knew that they was out of pocket up at the door.
right.
You knew that they had the hat on. Like, you knew that they didn't have they had the sweats on, or you knew that, what I'm saying. You knew that they had just been milking the table and wasn't doing a 2 drink minimum.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? But for whatever reason, you still allowed them to stay in the club.
yeah. And when you heighten, like even with the the border, now that ICE has heightened, and Trump has delegated and authorized them to apply force and everything. Those border crossings are
Yeah, I saw a stat too.
decreasing
Yeah, I saw
and
that.
going
Yeah, yeah,
down
yeah,
and down
yeah,
and
yeah.
down.
I saw a stat that said
So
that. Yeah.
same example here. Once we have that standard at the door of your coochie, you know, sorry niggas that's coming in that don't want to be fathers, or don't want to procreate or be responsible,
Mm-hmm.
that'll dwindle down. Those instances will dwindle down, because it's like, no, you ain't coming up in here. You
Mm-hmm.
ain't coming up in here. And even if it is a day, you could be short staffed, so security is laxing. You don't got your normal security person. We got the little young boy that's letting
Bro, not to
anybody.
cut your wisdom off again, but
What
as you just said, you don't got your normal security person in. So as I looked down and I saw another comment,
what it say?
we got a comment here from
Who is it?
Cruz.
Mm-hmm.
Cruz says, "How many times have contraceptive devices failed? How
Mm-hmm.
many men supposedly wear condoms but don't?
Mm-hmm.
Like, really, guys, it's not that difficult." So again, those would be considered the exceptions, not
Mm-hmm.
the rule.
Right.
So we will never deny that the stealthing is what they call it
Like I
when
was just saying that
right, either whether the
there's
condom
issues.
breaks or she's not on some, or she
Yep.
or her birth control, she missed her pill, whatever the reasons. Again, stealthing, when they are saying that they have a condom on but they're just going in raw,
Mm-hmm.
as well as what else did she say, how many men supposedly wear condoms but don't.
Mm-hmm.
Like, really, guys, it's not that difficult. And conscious. So again, so basically, we just covered all the bases right there. So, but to your point, like, yes, those things do happen, and as I'm reading through these now, it kind of makes me now ask the question. It's just like, yes, ladies, like, as we use this analogy of the club, like you said, your club is on the street, and if you a popular club, then like, yeah, you on the block, people know about you, so yeah, you gonna be having people pulling up. You're going to attract a lot of attention. and that means that you go just have to have that much more better security though.
Yeah.
You can't just be on all field because yes, it's going to feel overwhelmed.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to feel overwhelming, securifying your door at this case,
Mm-hmm.
because again, like you're going to have a lot of attention, and yes, men are going to be saying things and trying to do things, and that can catch you off guard and
Mm-hmm.
make you slip up at the door. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Because it happens, and again, you're human as well, man,
Mm-hmm.
and that's why again you have to be on top of your security because again in the event a mistake does happen, at least in your case
Mm-hmm.
as a lady, if you are on your own, if like you said, if you are just using your own contraceptive because you are having casual sex
Mm-hmm.
and you know that your plan or your intention isn't to be pregnant,
Right.
then it's just like yeah, to protect yourself and knowing that you're engaging in these activities, yeah, that's part of your door
Right.
security.
You need your own plan
You
for
need your
yourself
own, just like any club in the world.
because the condom is the man's plan
Hmm.
to protect himself, which I agree with your
Or as we just
observation.
said, his dress code.
His dress
His
code.
dress code to get in the club.
Right.
Like
Right.
period. Like, and if you know condom, no acts. Like, I just don't
Mm-hmm.
understand like why that's just now. Of course, we've heard the excuses like, oh, I'm allergic to latex.
Yeah.
Oh, the
It don't.
hormones from the birth control do something to my health. Like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
it throws off my
Mm-hmm.
cycle.
Mm-hmm.
Now, again, I'm not disputing those things.
No, not at all.
However, as adults, we have to be mindful of the games we want to play and the cost that it takes to play them.
Mm-hmm.
So if we have to weigh the cost, so if you know you just want to be out there, male or female, then you need to protect yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Protect your seed as a man and protect your egg as a woman. Because again, if you are out here in these streets, like you said, it's gonna be plenty of people pulling up to your club, and they go be in dress code or they not. The choice is yours.
We got any more?
We had a ton on this one. We have
Yeah.
43. We can find one more because looks like our device is running low on juice. Then it says, all right, here's another one. I think this is the one we covered before. Miss My Lady 28. I mean, My Lady 2280. They say just because you know someone for 30 seconds,
Mm.
it takes for you to have sex with. Oh yeah, this is the one where yeah, actually we gonna skip that one because that was the one she didn't use no punctuation. So yeah, if you gonna be leaving comments, you gonna have to use proper punctuation and sentence structure so we can actually
Yeah, proofread them.
know what you're saying. Because like I said, My Lady 2280, you was the one last video where I was like stumbling, but it was like no, that was just it was
Right. I was like, huh?
just one sentence with just a bunch of words with just no punctuation. All right, there's actually was one. It was Caslin West says, when does it kick in? It's always her body, her choice. If it's happening to her body, it must be her choice.
Okay. Okay.
I can
Okay. Yeah, I
Because
agree.
again,
It's always yeah.
if sex is a mutual act, then again you have to be because again there are costs that you might know up front, but you might not know up front. But again, that's part of the risk
That's the
of
choice you made.
sex. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like it is a risk on both people's ends. And again, we're also not saying that in the event that you do end up pregnant and then you do decide to keep the baby and you do want to take care of it, and if this guy isn't stepping up, that's going to happen. That's
Mm-hmm.
part of the possible negative outcomes. It's
Mm-hmm.
part of negative stakes, I guess you can say. That is
Mm-hmm.
part of it. So that's why it will be in your best interest, for the person at that door, just to be on your game at all times.
Yep. There you have it.
Period. All right, so we go do another one. This topic was again. This one question will change how you think about Black History Month forever. So this was one where we were talking about,
Yeah.
like where you were asking the question, what is Black History Month, and kind of tying into what we
Yeah.
talked about already, kind of like the group economics using it. I mean, I think even in this clip you mentioned, like, is at a point where we establish some sort of
Yeah.
bank.
I had said yeah, I did. I was asking what actually is Black History Month to us. What do we get out of Black History Month? Is that the month where we came together and created the Black Bank, and now we come out of Black History Month. That comes once a year. Now we have one extra bank added to the
Hmm.
the universe of banking.
Hmm.
So that was the question I was asking, and so these comments on this one just I just realized people just hear what they want to hear.
So to that point, then so we have a comment from, who is this? Bass.exe.
Hmm.
They say it's just a month to celebrate Black excellence. Everything you talked about are systematic issues that will take years to fix. Well, I know that we've been having these Black History Months for
For
years.
years, yeah.
And to your point, what we know. So to your point, I'm glad you kind of like said it. We know what it means to the people who gave it to us, which is it is to celebrate Black excellence. Shouts out Martin Luther King, Rosa Parks, Sojourner Truth, Malcolm X. The usual suspects in this case.
Marcus
Marcus
Garvey,
Garvey's, Booker T.
W.E.B. Du
Washington's,
Bois.
right? We know we know the usual lineup. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? However, to your point though, what does it mean to us?
Right. What do we get out of having
And
them?
and yeah, and what like I said, how is it
How are we
creating
using
value
it?
for us in
Right.
our communities? We
Right.
understand they created it to celebrate Black excellence,
Right.
and we celebrate Black excellence
Right.
because they're saying in this month in February that's when we do it. But to your point, I don't think they understand. You're asking a different question. Like, what
I
does it
really
mean to
am.
us?
Yeah. What do we get out of it?
Yeah.
We know about because you only get the same 10 usual suspects
Hmm.
each month that they talk about.
Hmm.
So we should be content with just, keep regurgitating Harriet Tubman
Right.
and the Underground
Right.
Railroad
Right.
and,
Right. Right.
Martin and I Have a Dream and Malcolm X and
Hmm.
By Any Means Necessary and, you know, uh,
Right. The usual suspects.
like the
Right.
usual suspects. Do we just keep regurgitating that?
Because we have plenty of other people we can be focused on.
Number one. And, I think for us to have this month where we are coming together and we're highlighted, let's take it to the next step and make it something that let's make them regret they gave us this month.
Exactly. Using it to our advantage. You know what I mean? So, like, again, what does it mean to us? So, here's another comment in that regards. This one comes from Robbie. I'll just leave it at that. M. Robbie. But they say, so you want to help our oppressors take away a hard fought month where our children get to, I'm assuming, learn about their heritage
Well, if your children is just learning about their heritage when they get to school,
at Black History Month,
yeah, Black
the
History
shortest
Month,
month of
you
the
lost
year.
already. You
Exactly.
fucked up already.
Right.
And I was not championing the removal of Black History Month. That's not what I said.
Hmm.
The question I asked is, what are we going to do with this month, and what do we get out of it to make ourselves better and progress us as a people?
Exactly.
That's what I was talking to. Not saying we don't need Black History Month. That ain't what I said.
As you just said that, what I envisioned was the same way Kwanzaa is a process.
Hmm. I love Kwanzaa,
We
man.
can, well, maybe that's what maybe that can be our contribution to our people. We turn Black History Month into some version of Kwanzaa where it requires some sort of activity on a day-to-day basis.
I love Kwanzaa.
To
Have you
where
have you ever broke
I,
down the
I've
different
I've
things of
I've
Kwanzaa?
I've as a child, I remember one of the Christian schools I went to. We did practice it, but again, I'm a
Hmm.
kid, so I'm not paying attention.
Because one of the weeks of Kwanzaa or one of the days of Kwanzaa is group economics,
Okay.
collective, where you're supposed to come together and spend with each other, barter with each other, promote each other, and invest in each other. And I think the attributes of Kwanzaa are phenomenal. And I think that's something that we need to implement and do away with this Saint Nick, Santa Claus, Merry Christmas, ho 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 shit. I really do.
Well, there was on that vein. I saw a clip recently. There was a dad. He was explaining how he was like, in my household, we live by the principle to pay yourself first, and at least 10%. And so, for his son, he required that anytime he got some money, that he put 10% into as they called it, his hustle box.
Hmm.
And he couldn't open his hustle box until he turned 18.
Oh, I think I seen him trying to open it. He
Yeah,
he looked
right.
real weird trying to open the
Yeah,
box. I'm
yeah,
like, dude,
yeah,
open that damn
yeah.
box. He gonna
Right, right, right,
if he
right,
gonna open that box, pulling out one thing
right,
at a
right,
time.
right,
I'm
right.
like, these kids is
But to your
crazy.
point, that whole group economics component, because now again, imagine if that was just standard in all
Hmm.
households for Americans of African descent. Every child has a hustle box.
Hmm.
Every grows up with a hustle box that they can't open until they're 18.
Hmm.
So to your point, now that's also a way for them to have capital when they get started to invest. But also too, now you're instilling the habit and the value of quote unquote having discipline in regards to your saving and well, specifically your money management and then how you manage your savings, your investings, your credit, and your income.
Right. So here it is. I pulled it up. So the Kwanzaa is a week long celebration from December 26th. Oh, that's my mama's birthday. December 26th to January 1st. So the first day, I'm sure I'm gonna pronounce these wrong,
Mhm.
but I'm gonna try my best. Umoja, Umoja, which means unity. Then we had, I'm not even gonna try to pronounce
Yeah.
those. The second day, December 27th, is self determination.
Right.
The third day, December 28th, collective work and responsibility.
Okay.
December 29th, cooperative economics.
Okay.
December 30th, purpose. December 31st, creativity. And January 1st is faith.
Okay.
So, you could decipher that and how that works for you in your life and and your household. Unity, coming together, of course. Self-determination, having that self-discipline, that self-determination to be a better person, to
Mhm.
to achieve that goal, to get said outcome that you want out of life. Collective work and responsibility, knowing how to work together, how to get along with other people, and being responsible, being a man of your word,
Mhm.
being a person of character. Cooperative economics, once again, like we say,
Right.
we're cooperating with our people. You selling that, I got this, and let me go support you. You support me. We support them down the street.
Mhm.
We all support each other economically. Then purpose, having a plan, having a vision.
Vision. Right.
One of your good words, vision, could be synonymous with purpose. Then creativity. Of course, you got to be creative about it.
The
How
arts.
the arts, and then being creative for how you get your message in this two generations and times that are constantly changing.
Mhm.
So that's how creativity is implemented. It's not just about performing arts, but it's also about creativity, about how to communicate to an ever changing world.
Mhm.
You have to be creative. And then the last one is faith. You got to have belief. You have to believe in yourself. You have to believe in your community and believe in that universe, the higher power, God, or whatever the case may be. You got to have faith.
Yeah.
You got to have faith. You got to believe. So those principles of Kwanzaa. I mean, if we as our community implemented it, implemented and stood 10 toes down on those principles, we'll be in a great place.
Mhm.
I believe. Compared to us going out and becoming broke before the new year because you buying all these gifts,
Right.
which is propaganda, making all these other entities and businesses successful and not our own.
All right. So one more comment before closing. It says we have a comment from Tez. They say Black History Month is disrespectful to our people.
Mm,
It's one of the shortest months of the year, and they're not teaching us our real history,
right.
just recent history and whitewashed history, for real.
Mm. Ooh, I agree. Thanks to that, Tez.
Tez.
Thanks, Tez. I appreciate that because it is. It's not our real history, and it's a whitewashed history. It's a biased history. It is a propagandized history. And it's a recycled history, like we said, is the
Same
same.
usual
It's the same
suspect.
track
Right.
that they're playing. Okay. Oh, here, put that on. Put that
Play
CD
track
on.
seven.
Right.
Oh, it's the second. All February, just track seven.
Yeah. Just keep that on repeat. Loop
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Loop
Loop it.
it. Yeah. So I agree with him. Like it is it, and that's why I say let's regret they gave it to us. That's why I asked the question that I asked because in too many cases, I see that we're not growing from Black History Month. We're not expanding. We're not getting smarter. We're not galvanizing. We're not coming together. We're not building and creating.
Hmm.
And it's like okay, because this past election, I don't know who put this out there that the Trump administration was trying to do away with Black History Month. Like, come on, bro. Do you actually think that was the case at hand? And it wasn't. And we still have it, and it's still going on.
Hmm.
And, but that made me look at the situation like, what is Black History Month to us? Like that we're fighting so hard. Like even if y'all took away the celebration or the official day of Black History Month, that shouldn't stop us from communicating to our children who we are, where we come from.
Exactly. That's actually going to be one of the things I was going to speak on in that.
Mm,
To your point, if we are taking ownership of our history, and we are taking ownership of our duties as leaders in our households to make sure our children know their history, then there will be no need for Black History Month because it's every day, 24/7, 365. You know what I
Right.
mean?
That's why you don't have White History Month. That's why you don't have any other any other specific month. You don't have heterosexual month.
You don't have Asian History
You don't
Month.
have Asians, because these are things that are known and given. But
Well, because again, these other groups they have a culture.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh
So
yeah.
they
Yeah.
don't just because one of the things I've noticed, one of the things I always noticed growing up, moving around a lot and just being around other people of different cultures was no matter where I lived and no matter what the culture of our neighbors would be or some of the people we do business with and we would see frequently in the neighborhood. One of the things I always found myself in awe about was how much they maintained their culture. So
Mhm.
even though they lived in America,
Mhm.
they were still exercising the customs of their culture.
Mhm.
And there would always be some dispute between them and the kids or one of the kids about the kid wanting to be too American.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And so that always, stood out to me. And I used to relish it because I'm just like, man, I wish we had that.
I do
You
too.
know what I mean? I wish we had our own customs that we fought and died for. That made
Mhm.
that made us proud to be Americans of African
Mhm.
descent. Things that made us unique. And technically, we do have these things, but we're just not in control of them.
Mhm.
We don't. We're not the quote unquote. We don't control the means of production in a
Mhm.
lot of those cases. When it comes to the arts, for example,
Mhm.
entertainment. But we just got to start, and I think Kwanzaa would be a good way of starting. But we just have to start, creating our own customs and just living these customs and making them a part of our lifestyle
Mhm.
and our day to day walks with life. And we won't have to worry about what they're giving us.
Right.
You know what I mean? We need to be the presidents of our own household, and we won't have to be worried about who's the president in Washington D.C. In Washington D.C.
Mhm.
We won't have to worry about that.
Yeah. And to the point about them keeping a culture. Speaking about culture, when I was just in Tulum, I met some great friends out there. I had a great time. And one thing, there was this moment where I realized now there's there was people that spoke French
Hmm.
and people that spoke Spanish, and there's like two that spoke French, couple that spoke Spanish. Me being English, speaking English,
Hmm.
and those were the two primary languages, I believe, French and Spanish speaking. But it was they were all fair skinned people, and there was one black person
Hmm.
outside of me. And so when I met them, I thought the black person was he spoke English. We was able to communicate. But what I found so fascinating is that they were all able to switch in and out of each
Language.
language,
Yeah. I'll be
except
finding that fascinating as well when I
except
see
for
it.
me.
Right.
Except for me. Yeah, they were all able to when the French person talked, everybody chimed in and started talking French. Well, probably food fun space. So I thought that's what we was a and when they just started when the Spanish person said something, everybody was able. Now the French guy,
That's dope.
right? The French guy couldn't speak English too well.
Hmm.
He
And ain't
was
that a trip though when you see somebody who can't speak English as an English speaker?
he couldn't speak English very well. He was trying his best to like talk to me like because they were really trying to make me inclusive.
Hmm.
Like they was really trying, and he was like, ah, my English no good. I like just say what you gonna say, just say it, But I read the body
Somebody,
language.
yeah,
Yeah,
somebody can
somebody
translate it. Right.
just don't even make a fuss over it. But I was just in awe of the black guy, because he was able to speak. He was the one that kept talking to me and telling me what everybody else was saying.
So he knew all the
He knew
languages.
all the languages,
Mm.
and it was just amazing. And I was like, yes, this is where we need to get, because the world
Hmm.
is a beautiful place to experience, and if you could, um, be fluent in different languages, it's
You
just
know
as
what? As you just said that, I kind of had this flash of thought, like, oh man, I kind of just faced one of my fears when it came to traveling, because I just realized, like, in my mind, not knowing these languages makes me feel like I would be in no man's land.
But most people outside of here know English. Everybody
I
know
know, I
English.
know, I know that, but but when you kind of just said that, it made me kind of like put my finger on it, like what, at least what I've been telling myself, like,
Hmm.
and it's always been like that difference in language, like, oh, I don't know the language, I don't want to be out in these places and not be able to talk to people, know what they saying.
For the most part, when you're dealing with the airport, hotels, stores, customer service, restaurants, well, no matter where you go,
English,
they always gonna know English.
got you.
They gonna know English. They're gonna be able to communicate with because they know Americans are they think America is the money. So they all anticipate you coming being a tourist in their country. So they're gonna
Mm,
be able to communicate with that English. But
got
they
you.
also know French, Spanish,
You know it all.
German, whatever, Greek, Italian, whatever the case may be. They know at least three to four other languages as well, fluently,
Gotcha.
like speaking very. So I just wish when we was talking about preparing Gen Beta
Hmm.
for the future and for success, I think they should really implement and giving them two languages
I agree.
at an early
Well,
age, other than English.
my personal vision again for Gen Beta is that as far as just Americans are concerned, is that they graduate from quote unquote high school or step into adulthood as with real world STEM skills. They are bilingual and they are financially literate. Like that would be my personal vision for
That's
Gen
mine
Beta.
too.
You know what I mean?
And and
At a bare, and those are like that's the bare minimum standard.
it has such an impact on me that I'm willing to take a stand to make sure like that happens. That we implement two languages into before they get to middle school and high school. Because by the time you get to high school and take Spanish, you don't retain it.
Hmm.
You have
You
to.
gotta learn it young.
Yes, before 7 years old, I think is
Uh,
the age.
so that's why going back to that point specifically now, like that's why I've always said it has to begin at home. So like as parents, as
But the
guardians,
parents don't know language themselves, so they're
but
not gonna be
but
able to
I'm
teach
saying
them.
we got these devices now.
Yeah.
So the same way you
Oh,
sit your
Rosetta
kid,
Stone and all
yeah. So
that
the same
stuff.
way you sit
Okay.
your kid in the corner and you put the YouTube or the Netflix on, you just put the language app on. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
only 15, 20 minutes a day. Like,
Yeah.
go ahead and learn
But
something.
it's literally just us being that conscious of it though, and just being mindful of all right again, like instead of just letting them just do whatever they want all day, give them some structure. So
I felt like
Duolingo, for example, is one of those apps.
I felt like I missed out on so much of life, not being able to know another
I
language.
agree.
It felt, I mean, it wasn't a bad thing. We had a great time, but your thought within your thought when away from everything, you just reflecting. I was like, damn, like I wish I was able to, jump into the other
Hmm.
language and be like, boom, 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 boom. Like,
Well, Duolingo, that's the app I personally use. I'm going through the Spanish course right now, and it helps if you stay consistent, of course. You have a good memory, and you because that's what I'm realizing. It's not necessarily what's been challenging for me when it comes to not learning a new language. It hasn't necessarily been the content per se, but it's just remembering to do it.
yeah, because your
Because I'm
brain.
right, because I'm already wired to speak English.
Well, there's professional studies that's been done about learning the language. Like if you don't learn it by a certain
Hmm.
age, is nah,
It's gonna be hard, yeah.
nah, it is you just gonna be no hola, cómo
Yeah, you're not
está.
gonna be as fluent as
You
if you would have learned it as a youth. But again, it's like to your point though, it's still getting to a place of just conversationally being able to understand the language.
because I tried to do Mandarin. I got a Mandarin app on my phone. I've been
Mhm.
trying to do it.
Well, Duolingo again is the one
I
I
can't actually you
use.
can't I can't tell you one Mandarin word that I
But for
learned.
example, I'm doing Spanish. So one of the things that I've been doing is I'll go to like the Spanish grocery store.
Okay.
And then like when I'm in there though, I'll just kind of make myself conscious of asking, like where stuff is at. So like de donde eres es el pan, you know what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
where's the bread?
Mhm.
But again, it's just remembering de donde eres is where is the.
Where is
So then from there, it's just knowing now remembering like the things. So apples, no, de donde eres manzanas, apples
mhm.
or. If or like a product like a Crisco, de
Mhm.
donde eres Crisco, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
No, and oh yeah, because when I when I'm in those stores specifically, a lot of the individuals who work there they don't speak English.
Right. Right. Like with Spanish, I know the basically who, what, when, why, where. I know my numbers. I know my colors.
Hmm.
So with that, I just get creative from there. You find, and then they understand. People that
I think the
understand.
hardest part for Spanish for me as well, bro, is also too like just making like remembering like the masculine and feminine aspects of it, like the la and the l's
Yeah,
and the I's and the
the
O's, and
O's. Yeah.
like those to me are the most challenging parts because it's like to your point, if I understand now, if we had learned it as youth, then it
Hmm.
just would have been a natural part of the learning process. But now trying to learn it, in my opinion at least, trying to learn it as an adult, it's just challenging because I'm always referencing English as I'm trying to learn the Spanish. You know what I mean? So I'm kind of like always judging the English. I mean, the Spanish I'm learning off of how it's said in English,
Yep.
but it always seems like it's like
It's
the
the
reverse.
reverse.
Yeah.
Yep. It's
So that's
like
what be
trying to
throwing
work
me off, bro.
again, trying to walk and learn how to walk, but walk backwards or
Yeah,
upside down.
facts,
Like,
facts, facts. That's exactly how it
and
feels.
also I encourage. I don't know how we getting on to staying on this topic, but I
We
encourage.
went from Black History Month to learn how to speak Spanish,
But to
but it's coming back to us implementing some sort of Kwanzaa type lifestyle on a day to day
principles that will
basis.
instill into them
So
as
making Black
youth.
History Month a daily activity or
Yes.
exercise as opposed to just some 1 month a year in February,
I will
shortest month of
also
the
say
year.
I would challenge anybody with young children, put them in an instrument class
Hmm.
as a kid. They might fight and hate it, but
Piano at a bare minimum.
I guarantee you when they get 16, 17, 18, they will be so happy that you
Hmm.
made them take those piano lessons.
Hmm.
Because now they possess a skill and an asset where they can express themselves, their feelings, they can impress others. It's just a beautiful skill set.
It's an art form.
It's an art. Art is
So going back to
beautiful.
Kwanzaa, creativity.
I could play the piano a little bit.
That would be part of creativity though for when it comes to implementing Kwanzaa on a day to day basis in our lifestyle. So
Hmm.
learning how to play the piano.
And it's funny that you have to do it young because my grandmother, she was big on my grandma over there. She had the performing the Southwest Germantown Performing Arts Center, and she was big about giving back to the community. So of course, we had to be the kids in the Performing Arts Center. And so me being the oldest of the grandkids and my youngest, the youngest, she was maybe Sabrina, maybe was maybe 4, 5 at the time, and I was maybe, I think maybe I was a teenager, at least 13, 14, maybe 12, 13, 14 in the age.
Hmm.
And so, and what I did learn then, I still know to this day because I was still fairly young,
Hmm.
but not as young as Sabrina.
She retained more
She
of it.
she is phenomenal at the drums.
Oh, nice.
She now is a damn drummer. To like, she is phenomenal. And she, because back in the day when I was like 12, I used to play the drums at the
Hmm.
church, but I was just basic, boom, 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 boom. And then she told me like, brother, you motivated me, like you was my inspiration. I used to see you play the drums, and I
You
wasn't.
just doing your thing, right?
I'm just doing the basic. All right, go ahead, Billy, play those drums. I was like, but the whole time
Now, where was
she,
this happening at?
in
In the what?
Philly,
In the no? In the what though?
and the church.
So what did we talk about in the beginning from the previous comment? Like how the church was that platform for everything to go down.
Oh yeah, my
It
grandma
was
was
the
the
training
pastor.
ground.
Yes, yes,
The
she was the
church was the
pastor,
training ground.
and she was adamant about that, like getting us to learn. So I wanted to do the piano, and they had drums. Conjure I think he passed away. He's a legend if you could look him up. And Barry Shuck was teaching us the piano and xylophone. And I retain some of it to this day. I can still do the keys or whatever. I could play a couple songs on the piano, but I wasn't at the age where I was just becoming like a teenager. So it was like I'm at the age where I want to run the street. I want to go outside. I don't want
Hmm.
to go here. I want to
Yeah,
like,
off the porch.
yeah. I'm like, all right, we out of here. It was over. Like, pew. Where my youngest cousin Sabrina, aka my little baby sister, she was retaining a whole lot because she was young. She was
Hmm.
she was small, and then she was looking at me playing the
She
drums,
was
and
soaking it up.
she soaked it all up. And even her father, my uncle Howard, rest in peace, he was a drummer and bass guitar player,
Nice.
and so. She's a phenomenal drummer now to this day, and it's just like wow, like when it's instilled in you when you're very very young, like the retention of it is almost like 100%, and you're
Right.
able to take it and expand and become great with it. So a language and an instrument for all our kids at Gen Beta is, I think, is imperative.
Yep. All right. So
All right, I'm sorry we was on the ram. I don't know. I get the ram.
took a little
sometimes.
tangible, like we here. So thanks for tuning in.
Always
Off to the next segment.
keep them comments coming. Keep those ripples flowing.
Yes, sir. Peace.